Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, powered by Stagefront VIP. Being joined with Abel Sanchez as we are going to go ahead and recap the action that happened over the weekend. Devin Haney putting on a shutout, really a master class over Regis Prograis to claim a 140-pound belt, that being the WBC 140-pound belt. Abel, you know, I was thoroughly surprised in the manner that Devin Haney got this win. I think he was favored for a reason coming into this fight, but myself, along with many others, felt like it would be more of a competitive fight, that Regis would win some rounds in there. Overall, how did you assess what Devin showed in the fight on Saturday?
He was favored for the right reasons. He's a better fighter, but I didn't think it was going to be that lopsided. He he fought a very very good fight. Uh, I don't think that it's the kind of fight that is going to endear us with his kind of style. But he dominated a very good fighter, very good fighter. I didn't think it was going to be that easy for him, but props to him. Hopefully, he can do this again in the next fight, and maybe he'll be in my opinion, in that three or four guys that are at the top at the elite level in the 40 and 35 pounders.
What do you think made the difference, Abel? Is it a combination of things, or is it that Haney is that much better now at 140 because he's not depleting himself as much, and him being 26, that he's finally growing into his man strength?
That could be it. I never really gave that some thought, but you're absolutely right that those extra 5 pounds could make a difference in the mental attitude going into the fight. He's not having to sacrifice as much, and uh, he fought this the kind of fight that he needs to fight to be able to command that the audience that he needs to command.
Yeah, like the other thing that I was thinking too, during the week, Regis had mentioned that he had a very, very long training camp. And kind of want to pick your brain on this. He mentioned he had like a 4 month training camp, and I spoke to some of the people on his team. They said like, yeah, he had a long training camp, but he would take week breaks amongst those 4 months. But like, it just got me thinking, like, man, like, is he overtrained coming into this? Is that going to affect him in the fight? Like, ultimately, the better man won. But what do you make of long camps like that?
Coming from a coach's standpoint, at least from my standpoint anyway, there's no such thing as a long training camp. There's no such thing as too much training. There's such a thing as too much sparring. That is very important that you don't do. But remember, all these guys, all these athletes in every sport, if they're not training 365 days a year, they're not playing. If a football player is not in training camp the whole year while he's off the season, he's not playing. Neither is a basketball player, neither is a baseball player. When they're in training camp, they're not actually doing preparation for a fight. They're in training camp maintaining and learning and progressing, or trying to progress anyway. So if he's with very good people, so I know that his people would not have sparred him for 4 months. That's impossible. His people prepared him for the fight as they should. That he was in training camp, that's a good thing. That way he's not having to lose weight at the last minute like most of these guys do. So there's no, in my opinion, there's no such thing as too much training. There's such a thing as too much sparring, but not too much training.
Yeah, I spoke to his trainers after the fight too, and they were like, "Hey, we had drilled how to cut the ring off. We had drilled, all this work on the inside, and just we just wasn't able to do what we drilled for."
Yeah, a very good guy in front of him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you hope that you can manipulate the fight in a way that you're training in the gym, but he had an exceptional guy in front of him, a guy that's in the top two or three or four in the world in those weight divisions, 35, 40 pounders.
You mentioned, or more or less alluded to it a little bit earlier, the style not being very pleasing. Did you like the fight? Like, did you feel Devin was exciting like over the weekend?
I like the fight only because he did things different.
Yeah.
He he imposed his will. He did things that he wanted to do, how he wanted to do them. Now, as we go along um, in more fights, he will progress even more. But he did, just like we talked about David fighting the perfect fight at this moment in his career. At this moment in Devin's career, he fought the perfect fight, controlling doing what he wanted to do against a very, very good fighter.
Yeah, yeah. It's maybe this 140 division is can be the best weight for him. But after the fight, post fight, his dad and even Devin himself. You know what? Devin actually mentioned this during the week, wanting to move to 147. And mentioning Mario Barrios, Keith Thurman. I found it kind of weird. Weird in the sense like you guys just got there at 140 and you already want to go up to 147. Abel, what are your thoughts? If you're training a guy and he looks spectacular in one fight at 140, and then you start hearing, "Hey, I want to move up the next division."
You know, any amateurs, we coaches always wanted to make sure the fathers never wanted their sons to drop too much weight. In other words, if you're 135 pounds, fight at 135. As fight at a weight that is most comfortable for you. He found out that 140 pounds, one, he's not having to sacrifice. Two, I'm sure he feels the difference in the strength and power with the additional 5 pounds. And it's not so much the additional 5 pounds, it's the fact that he's not having to sacrifice to hit the 35-pound limit. So give him another 7 pounds. In his mind, he's going to be that much stronger. He's very skilled. So it's going to be difficult for guys to control him like when he's weak, let's just say at 135. Mayweather moved up in weight, and what the advantages that he had was not so much the weight, but the experience and the talent and the ability that he had. So it could work for Devin. How tall is Devin? 5'8", 5'9"?
Let me find out. Let me pull up his box rec. I know he's not 6 foot. That's for sure.
No.
Let's see here. Devin Haney, box rec.
5'9" probably.
Maybe like looking at it first glance, I want to say that like around 5'9", 5'8". It's showing on his box rec. I don't know how accurate it is when they put this up, but yeah, 5'8", 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, Terry Norris was a 154-pound champion, and he was 5'9", 5'9.5". So there is some unusual guys that like I think Virgil Ortiz is about around 6 foot or 5'11", something.
Yeah, 5'11". Yeah.
Yeah, but those are, I think that he's somebody different and special in that weight. 147 could be a good weight for him if he feels strong and he feels that he can control the fight like he did in this fight at 147. More power to him. Mario Barrios would be a good fight for him, competitive fight, and if he can do the same thing to Barrios that he did to Prograis, and maybe we got a star to make it at 147.
Yeah, it's just there's so many guys, so many big fights to make at 140. That's why it kind of caught me off guard because you have Ryan, you have Teo, you have Subriel Matias, and you have Rolly.
But maybe we're running away from Matias.
I don't know. Bill did this interview with me yesterday. People said like, hey, like where he said that, he called to inquire about a fight with Matias, said he heard back from them and they said that they wanted like 4 million. I posted it and then people on the internet are saying like, yo, Peter Khan's not Subriel Matias's manager. Like, what is Bill talking about? Maybe he got the names confused. And then we see Subriel went online and said, hey, like none of that was ever offered.
Right. No, I think there was an issue with his one of his hands after the fight. So it could have been that they're not available right now. But listen, there's a lot of people going to be running away from the 140-pound division, and he's going to have to move up to 147 to be able to get fights.
Wow. Yeah, you know what, Abel? I don't know. Is that true? Do fighters like? Have you ever encountered that or ever heard other fighters like mention that? Other fighters trainers saying like, "Hey, no, we don't want the work with that guy. We're gonna move up."
No, it's not necessarily that they don't want to work with him. What's the sense in taking a chance against somebody that it's like instead of fighting Golovkin at 160, let's fight one of the other titles. Let's fight Saunders. Let's fight Charlo. Let's fight some of the other guys. So there's guys that are boogeymen, let's just say, in a particular division that are not worth the money you're going to get paid, a loss, looking bad because you're not going to knock them out, and they're going to be difficult to deal with. So sometimes I'm not saying they're running away from them. It's just that this is business, man. This is a career that you have to take care of. In the amateurs, happened all the time. When you saw a guy that was in a tournament, you went to another tournament. You stayed away from that. From the fights that were not the best thing for your career.
And what's the point of like competing? Like, isn't that what sport is all about?
No, not really. The point of competing is maximizing your worth, maximizing your ability to make a living. unfortunately, in today's market, a loss, all of a sudden, nobody wants you. You're pariah. You know, it is a zero on your record is so important. Yet a loss probably makes you a better fighter because it brings you back down to earth. Um, People talk about so many belts that are available. In my opinion, as a coach, I want that many belts. Why? Because I want my peers, I want my other friends, my coaches to have the opportunity or the ability to crown a champion, and that makes it interesting for us, and makes it available for us not to have a second job. A lot of us are having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to go to the gym and have those fighters that we hope one day will make us some money.
At the post-fight press conference, both Devin and Bill mentioned that how they feel that Devin should be fighter of the year. He has 2 big wins now: a win over Lomachenko, a win over now Regis, the champion at another weight class. What do you think, Abel? Do you think he should be in the running for fighter of the year?
I don't think so. I don't think he's had the names.
Wait, Loma's a big name. Loma, those are 2 big
Yeah,
names.
no, Loma's not, and Loma's the name of the past. I think that Terrence is in the running. I think for me anyway. Benavidez is in the running for me. Nui is in the running for me. I don't think that Devin had the marquee names that would warrant him being up there considered with those guys, in my opinion.
How does Benavidez? Because you know, Lomachenko is a bigger name than Andrade, bigger name than Caleb Plant. You know,
It's how. Remember what I said to you the last time? It's how you sell the product.
yeah.
You have to sell the product. Devin sold the product to a certain extent in this fight. He fought a very good fighter, and he controlled him. David fought a 3-time world champion. Yes, he hadn't fought in a while. Yes, he still has a long way to go. But the way that he fought the fight and the way that he controlled that fight, that's what makes the difference for me anyway. It's how you sell the product. That's what people remember. If you're going to say, I'm going to sell a pay-per-view for $100, will I buy David or would I buy Devin? I'm going to buy David.
Well, it depends on the fight, right? Like if
doesn't matter
Devin's
who's in
fighting
front.
like Ryan or Tank, like, you know, like
It wouldn't. Yeah, well, the same thing if you sell David
yeah,
against a Charlo, let's
Canelo.
just say. Yeah, oh, Canelo, yeah.
Yeah. So
So I
yeah.
think,
David versus Canelo or Devin versus Tank. Like, take my
okay,
money for both, but I would think I don't know. That's tough.
I think that most people will buy Canelo David because I think
I yeah, I think so
Canelo
too.
right now is I think Canelo's the face of boxing right now, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like he's
He
still known more than both
well,
Canelo.
no, he's making more money. Listen,
Yeah.
this is about putting butts in the seats, man.
Hmm.
This is about but Tank puts
Well,
butts in the seats, but how
yeah,
many seats?
both those fights would sell out.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Those are fantastic fights. Yes, both of them.
You know, no, that's true. I think a no way, like everybody's already saying, like, you know, so and so should be fighter of the year, blah blah blah. But I think Inoue, everybody needs to wait till this fight that Inoue has coming up right before New Year's, because if he beats Tapales, I think that's the second division in a year where he becomes undisputed. And like
Yeah.
at that point, like it's a no brainer. You got to give the guy the fighter of the year.
Yeah, but you have to remember though that all those things are determined by the U.S. If they don't fight in the U.S. and it's not programmed to be shown here in the U.S. at prime time, and there's people buying it in the U.S., it doesn't go as far, in my opinion. The money is here. The viewers are here. He may be doing all this thing in Europe and in Japan, but we're not seeing it.
Well, we are. If
We're
it's on
reading about it.
ESPN.
Yeah, we're reading about it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
boxing's like a international sport, no, Abel. Like
not really.
it should be like up to us to
It
give
should be.
guys like no, but to give guys like that shine and be like, no, wait a second, you got this guy over here that's doing even more amazing things. Like he should get these honors.
No, it should be, but it's not. Take for instance Calzaghe. Calzaghe was retired undefeated. Did we know about him here? Not until he fought some of the guys from here.
Well, he just fought 2 guys.
Yeah. Boy, he destroyed Lacey.
Yeah, but
Beat
Lacey
Jones.
wasn't that a big name, but an older Roy, an
But
older
it was shown
Bernard.
here. But what I'm saying, it
Yeah.
was shown here. That's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
was viewed here. If you'd have fought him and if you'd have fought another big name in Europe and we never heard about it, or we didn't see it live, or we didn't see it as we do here, then I don't think it would have been taken into consideration as it should. You're right. And Nui should be taken into consideration, but he has to be shown here in prime time.
or at least fighting here in the U.S.
Yeah, right. Well, he fought once. I think I saw him fight at the StubHub one time.
Yeah, at the StubHub, and then when he knocked out Maloney during the pandemic. But you know, it's tough. Like that guy is like Japan's #1 boxer, #1 athlete. Like he's not going to get the same. Yeah, he's not going to get the same paydays over here.
Otani, I think is #1 right now.
Yeah, but okay,
Payday-wise.
correct. Boxer, he's #1 boxer and the second biggest probably sports figure behind Otani, who I don't even follow baseball, but I saw that contract, 700 million to the Dodgers. I was like, oh my god,
70 million a year. I think that he's making as much or more than any boxer that we have that's active right now, even Canelo.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount.
Ridiculous, huh?
Yeah, good. That's close to like Messi, Ronaldo type of payday levels.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but hey, more power to him.
Yeah, no, I don't follow baseball. I don't know if that's a good buy or not. Usually when they spend that much money though, they see the return. I don't even know how old this kid is. How old is he? Isn't he coming off from an injury?
Yeah, he had an injury. He was off half the season. I'm
It's
sure that
risky.
the contract stipulates some things in there, but my kids are extremely happy because they're all Dodger fans. I'm an Angel fan, so
you must be heartbroken.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think
angry.
that as I am in boxing, I think that they need to do what's best for them. As I've spoken about Canelo, he needs to do what's best for them, for him, and don't worry about what we're saying because it doesn't matter what we're saying. We're not going to pay his bills.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent here, but you know, going back to Devin Haney, how I listed the 140-pound division, Abel. A lot of people I heard after this performance are saying Haney will beat Ryan, Haney will beat Teo, Haney will beat Tank. He'll beat all those guys at 140. I already know your feelings towards Matias. You think Matias is the guy that beats all of them, but does Haney beat Ryan? That looks like the next big fight for him.
Easy.
Wow, easy.
I told you this before, man.
Devin Haney beats Ryan Garcia easy.
Devin Haney beats Ryan just like he beat Prograis.
No way.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Why?
How did Ryan look against his last opponent?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm interested.
He looked
you
terrible.
Thought he looked terrible?
He won.
Yeah.
He won, but really, compare Ryan's performance against a guy that's not on Prograis' level and compare Devin Haney's performance against Prograis. Two different guys. They fought two different guys, and they look, Devin Haney looked like $1 million, and Ryan looked like $1,000 against a guy that's not on Prograis' level. So I'm not going to say he's going to destroy him, but he beats him because he's more skilled, because Ryan is not ready for, I told you this once before, I think in a couple of interviews ago, Ryan is if marketed right, a kid can make a lot of money because he's got a lot of followers. You just can't let your ego get in the way, not only through managers, but also through fighters. You can't let your ego get in the way. You got to be marketed the correct way, fight the right fights. And then when you have to at that next level, then you fight at the next level. He's not ready for that level yet. He's not ready. He proved that he wasn't ready for Tank. He definitely is not ready for Haney, and he's not ready for Shakur. Teo, I told you before, Teo has got the right style to come at him, and maybe he gets a little easier fight with Teo, but he may beat, that's a 50-50 fight for me, but not against Devin Haney, not against Tank again, or not against Shakur.
So you feel it's the same one-sided performance versus Ryan with Devin, like similar to what we saw over the weekend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe even more dominating because Ryan has a good punch. Ryan has a little speed, but Ryan does not have the skill or the experience or ability that Prograis had. Prograis, you're talking about a world champion, and then you're talking about a guy that's really hasn't had that level of opposition. And he was confused when he fought Tank, completely confused. He showed some confusion when he fought Duarte, and Duarte is nothing. Or I shouldn't say nothing. Duarte is not at that level.
Yeah, you said you felt he looked terrible.
Not terrible. He just I didn't like
the shoulder roll thing.
Yeah, you know that that's not his. That's not something you're gonna. Mind you, there's some fighters that are great at that, but that's not something you can learn in one fight. That's not something you can't at that level. You can't change your style in a way that is completely 100% different than it was before. He needs to go with what he does best. What he does best, he's got some hand speed, he's got a little power in his left hook, and he's got youth. I mean, he's got he does have a lot of ability to a certain level. Not the Haney ability, not the Prograis ability. And like I said before, Matias would destroy him, would knock him out so ugly that I would hate to see that fight.
Mm. Well, yeah, those are the two
Well,
biggest
let me ask you
fights.
a question.
Yeah, yeah,
How would Egershoff do against Ryan?
yeah. Different styles. You know, it's a different fight. Like
Yeah, well, how
obviously,
would he
like
do? How would he do?
I don't think he would break down Ergashoff as quickly as Matias because they're different styles.
No,
But
absolutely. But would Egershoff beat Ryan, or would Ryan win? Remember,
I
you're
would.
talking about you're talking about a world champion as an amateur with
Mhm.
a background second to none. It just he fought a guy that could punch a little bit and controlled him with his power. But
Yeah,
how would this YouTube Wonder Boy do against an amateur world champion that had that many amateur world championship titles?
I don't know. Let's tell Oscar to make the fight. Let's see,
Yeah,
Abel.
yeah. I would love to see Egershoff. See,
Hey, yeah,
those are the kind of fights where Ryan is going to learn. He's fighting a guy that really is not going to be as talented as Haney and as Gervonta Davis and as Shakur. These guys they're finishers. These guys that we have here in America are finishers. Unfortunately, the guys that are coming from Europe are not quite the finishers that we have here. The great talents, great ability, great boxers, but in order to compete in the U.S., you're gonna have to be a finisher.
Ryan's a big puncher though, Abel. I don't know. I'd favor him against Ergashoff. Seeing that the
Okay,
pressure
well,
bothered Ergashoff, and it looked like the
no,
moment someone stepped to
power
him.
bothered
Yeah,
yourself, not pressure. Power bothered. Every time he
Ryan
got hit,
Ryan has a lot of power though. He's a snappy fighter. No,
yeah,
come on, Abel. He has power.
what happened to Duarte? He
He knocked
finally
him out.
was he losing the? Yeah, in the eighth round, was he losing the fight?
No, Ryan was winning. Ryan was winning the
Oh,
fight.
was it a close fight?
I gotta remember my scorecards. I want to. It was competitive, but I had Ryan handedly winning. Yeah.
And he finally caught him in the eighth round.
Mhm.
Finally caught him in the eighth round. You're talking about two different levels. That's what in
Yeah.
my opinion, as a coach,
Mhm.
I see two different levels. Mind you, he can get to that level, but it's not going to be in the next fight. He's going to have to, and that's the unfortunate thing about all of a sudden being a superstar. You don't have time to develop. You don't have time to learn. You don't have to. You don't have time to put those rounds in fights in the bank. You're thrown in against guys that it's survival of the fittest, as it was against Tank. So
Yeah, yeah. That's what can you do now? Like
no,
once you get to
right,
that
right.
point,
He's
it's
at that
like
level now where he's got so as I said a little while ago, management, your ego has to stay out of the way. Management has to be smart on how they take this kid, because this kid is a superstar in the making. Okay, he just has a lot to learn. He's got a lot of the things that a lot of guys don't have: charisma, good looks, a little bit of boxing style,
power.
power. Okay, but what he lacks the most is experience
Yeah, yeah. It's
against
tough.
those guys.
We're seeing Jake Paul take on people say a step back, but like yeah, it's when you go from like Tank and then you go to Duarte was a good. I don't want to say. Would you consider it like developmental fight type of fight?
Yeah, no, it's a good fight.
Yeah,
Every fight's a developmental fight. Every
yeah.
fight has to be a learning fight.
Mhm.
And Duarte was a good fight for him. I don't like how he fought it. Now, if he'd have fought it like David fought his fight, now he wants to be a superstar. Now he wants to be in control. Now he wants to be driving his own ship. He didn't fight it that way. David, in his past fights, was not fighting the way that he did. In this fight, he controlled. Devin Haney wasn't fighting this way in his prior fights. This fight, he controlled. Not only did he controlled a very good fighter. It's not just like he's fighting some guy off. It's not like he's fighting a Duarte. He was fighting somebody. He was fighting a world champion. So those are the differences. There's different levels, and hopefully Ryan will mature and get that experience. In my opinion, anyway, get that experience that he's going to need against good guys like Haney and like Shakur and
Well, maybe he'll get it if he goes and he fights like a Rolly.
yeah, that's a good fight.
Yeah.
That's a good fight because Rolly's been in with guys that you can compare. You can compare
Well, yeah.
him with.
Tank would
Yeah,
be the main one. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, that's a good fight. That's a good. But I heard that wasn't going to be made. That Rolly said that he didn't want it or something.
No way.
No,
You know how it is sometimes, you kind of posture up to up
yeah,
the price,
that's very
to,
true. Like I
hey,
said about my
yeah,
truck, right?
I'm not interested because, it's a low price and,
Right.
make them come back
I
with a
hope they
higher
make that
price.
fight. That's a good fight for him.
Yeah.
That's a very good fight because it's a fight that's going to show us again a little more about Ryan. And if Ryan can control him and not fight the fight that he fought against Duarte, I don't think Rolly will allow him to do that because Rolly will foul him and will do things when he turns his back that Duarte was not doing. Rolly will be mean to him. So I think that's a good fight. It'll go a long ways into the maturity of Ryan Garcia.
Hmm. Very interesting, though. Very, very interesting. The 140-pound division, and with Devin wanting to move up to 147 pounds. Do you hear this
Now, let
news
me ask you a
though?
question. Let me
Yeah,
ask
yeah,
you a
yeah.
question. Devin Haney, Terrence Crawford.
Come on, Abel.
Is it time yet? No. So
No,
he needs
no.
to stay at 140 for a little while to mature himself because
Yeah.
it took
Or
Terrence how long?
or even Devin against Boots.
Right. Those are
Boots is a
bigger
world
guys.
champion. Yeah,
Those are bigger
like,
guys. So it took Terrence and well, not so much Boots, but took Terrence all those fights in where's he from? Nebraska?
yeah.
Okay. Took all those fights in Nebraska in his hometown to develop that skill that you need at that level. Now he's a great fighter, but it took him the maturity of all those fights. But he could do it in Nebraska.
Mhm.
Ryan, as we're talking about Ryan and we're talking about Devin, they're doing it in front of everybody, and and they need more than one or two fights. They need more fights. So Devin, I would like to see him 3 or 4 fights at 140 against some decent guys, and then move up.
Yeah, yeah, but it might be, the one and done. They move up to 147
Right.
if a potential opportunity with like a Barrios comes up. I don't know if it's I don't doubt Devin wanting to fight whoever, because I think, and I've mentioned this before, I think when compared against all his contemporaries, he's been the one that's been most willing to take on challenges that, big risk, big reward on his end. And he's the one that's been willing to travel for these chances and take on opponents that it looks like some of the other guys maybe a little bit hesitant, or maybe the teams and handlers of those other guys are like, hey, hold on a second, like you said, like give
Yeah.
yourself a little bit more time to develop at this weight.
Right. Give credit to Devin, but what
Yeah,
does he do after Barrios?
I don't know. You would have to
Okay.
unify because
Okay. Okay.
well,
So
Bill told me he could see him fight at 54 too, but I
okay.
think
Well,
at that point, the guys are a lot bigger, lot
he's not
bigger.
going to grow anymore. He's going to be 5'8" for the rest of his career, five
Yeah.
nine maybe. So you're talking about he beats Barrios. Now he wants to unify. You just gave me a face right now when it said Terrence or
Well,
Boots.
I don't think Terrence is going to be at the weight anymore, but Boots, yeah,
Okay,
Boots,
so
yeah.
you just
That's
made a face like, wow, what you really? So
yeah,
does
that's a
he
tough
belong?
fight.
Does he want to do this? Does he? Is that the best move career wise for him? I don't know. Do 3 or 4 fights at 140, get that maturity, get that experience, make a little bit of money, move up, beat Barrios, or beat whomever not named Ennis and not named Crawford. Uh, Now, a fight with Virgil Ortiz, I would love to see more than I would see a Crawford or an Ennis fight
Oh no,
for Devin
that,
Haney.
that's 154 though.
Oh, did he move up to 54?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did he?
Virgil
Okay.
can't,
Okay.
even if it's at 147. Oh no,
I know,
that's a
but okay,
hard
but
fight. Jeez,
you,
for
you
both.
but you're talking about him fighting Crawford or Ennis at 147 if he beats
Mm.
Barrios. So once you get there, you're gonna the choices are slim
Yeah.
and they're difficult. They're fights that are gonna be very difficult, and he really hasn't made a mark yet in his career to that he merits. I mean, he struggled all those years. He merits 3 or 4 decent paydays so that he can move up and then uh, do that unification bout.
I also see, those guys too moving up to 147. Ryan's going to be at 147. Teo's going to be at 147. Rolly's been saying he wants to be at 147. Shakur eventually will make it to 147. So maybe they're kind of thinking like, ahead. Like, hey, those guys are going to come to 147 anyways. I'm going to go and snatch or attempt to snatch a belt at 47. And then when those guys come up to 47, that's a big business type of fight because they would have won or unified championships at 140.
Could that be? Could that be the early '80s of this era? You know, Hagler, Duran, Leonard, Hearns, Benitez.
Well, yeah, they had mentioned them earlier on, the young four princes,
Yeah.
the comparison that, hey, maybe this is a little bit different, obviously, but the main four in their weight classes, around their weight classes in their prime, that are elite.
Yeah. The great thing about that era, the early 80s, is that they all fought each other. They all had losses, obviously, because they fought each other. One of them's going to lose. And if they do that again, I think that'd be great for boxing because you're going to lose. There's going to be guys out there that have your number, and a guy that beats you may not be able to beat the guy that you beat. So I hope they do that. I hope it's a round robin so that way boxing will benefit. We haven't had that in forever since that era.
The other thing that I heard over the weekend, Abel, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but Teofimo Lopez has had and the team substantive talks with Subriel Matias to have a fight on the Puerto Rican Day Parade in June in New York. Reaction, thoughts?
I wouldn't want to see that fight. I would love to see Teo fight Ryan first.
Yeah.
I would like to see Teo fight one of the other guys that we've mentioned. I think you have to stay away from Matias. Even if you hit him, he's gonna hit you back, and when he hits you, it shortens careers. Those kind of fighters shorten careers. The guys that fucking Addy, how many guys continued their careers in a successful manner? You know,
Yeah.
Rosado had a lot of fights, but Rosado was an opponent for a lot of people. Jacobs never looked the same. You know, when Gil never looked the same. Lemieux uh, got knocked out and stopped in some fights. It just,
Yeah,
those
Benavidez.
guys take a lot out of you. And especially if it's a long fight. Let's say Teo's tough and he goes 12 rounds. He's going to take a lot of punishment from this guy. They're both going to take punishment. But this guy has got hammers. He's got sledgehammers in his hands. So I wouldn't want to see Teo fight that fight. I would love to see him fight Ryan. I think that's a fight that could be sold better. It would be more attractive for the public than a Matias fight. Matias is not really known, so you're not gaining as much as you would against a Ryan.
Man, Abel, I don't know. Like like a part of me feels that be, it's because of the stuff that's been ongoing with Teo, but like I just feel like not enough more respect is given to like the abilities that Teo has, and people forget like just really how good he is, how fast twitchy he is, and how explosive he is as a fighter, and when he's turned on, like how damn good he is.
When he's right, but as we discussed before, he's got so much baggage that he brings along, and we don't know where his head is at right now. We don't know because he hasn't fought. We don't know because he's been inactive. We don't know because there's issues that we read about and we hear about that could affect his performance, could affect how he looks. So why put him against a Matias when he hasn't fought in a while? Put him against a Ryan who is not nearly as experienced as he is. Yes, he pops, but he's not nearly. He's going to be able to handle a Ryan a little easier than he would a Matias, in my opinion.
Okay, given the performance of Devin, if we put all these guys in a lightweight tournament, or excuse me, a 140-pound tournament, and a Shakur Stevenson moves up. So in the tournament, it's Subriel, it's Devin Haney, it's Teofimo Lopez, it's Rolly, it's Ryan Garcia, and it's Shakur Stevenson. Who's in the final, and who wins that final?
Matias and Gervonta Davis are in the finals.
Oh, I forgot to mention Gervonta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subriel and Gervonta are in the final.
Yeah, in the
Oh,
final.
wow. That's saying a lot because a lot of people would have said Shakur.
I think the Shakur looked terrible in his last fight. Why?
He's injured.
You have to. I think, unfortunately, in this game, is what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's the way that all the fans look at that. And Shakur in his last fight looked terrible. Devin Haney, we're talking about him because he looked great. Talking about Gervonta because he looked great. Matias looked great. Ryan did better than Shakur did in his fight. So I think that you have to base it on what's happened in the near past. And Shakur moving up from 30, 35 to 40, that's a jump. He doesn't have the pop that Davis has. He doesn't have the pop that Matias has. He doesn't have the pop that Ryan has. He could be comparable to Teo, let's just say. And Devin doesn't have the pop, but Devin's got a lot of ability that he's showed us that when he's on, it's going to be difficult to beat him. So I would say the semi would be Devin Haney and Shakur. And the one before the quarter would be the one before that would be Raleigh and Ryan, because they would have gotten beat by the other guys.
Dang. Tank and Subriel. Oof.
I'd hate to see that fight though.
Why?
because I think the Tank is so good. I really
Yes,
like Tank,
I would favor. I
and I
could see
really
Tank
like
cracking.
Subriel.
I could see Tank cracking Subriel because
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Subriel gets hit a lot, and I don't think he
Well,
can get.
Egershov hit him. He just didn't have
Yeah,
no firepower. So that's why I say I
he
hate to
can't get
see it.
hit by Tank like that
Yeah.
because Tank is getting night a
Yeah.
dormir.
And Shakur doesn't have that kind of power like Tank, and neither does Devin. So those guys wouldn't give Subriel a hard time. Ryan is too inexperienced to give him a hard time, and Raleigh's too inexperienced, too small to give him a hard time. So that's why I say I would hate to see that fight because I like both guys, but I really like Tank.
So Abel, people are gonna. I can already see people are gonna make a clip. Abel Sanchez says Tank the best amongst these group of
I think
fighters.
so, man. I think
Yeah,
so. I think that he has what I would love to have in all my fighters. He's got this rage. He's got a Duran rage, in my opinion, and none of these guys have that. And he's got a little pop. Yes, he's a little short, but he's got that Duran rage that he wants to hurt you, man. He wants to hurt you. Sabril Matias just has big pop, and I've never heard him. I've never seen him explode or say anything mad or nasty as Gervonta does. And Gervonta can back his shit up. And you see the other guys, they don't have that rage, and I think that's very important in a fighter. That's for my fighters, I would love to have that first, and then I could work around everything else. Because if they have that rage, there can be some mean people inside the ring.
Speaking about a mean person in the ring, David Morrell fights this weekend, Showtime's final show. He's fighting an opponent in a showcase fight in Minneapolis against Akbeko. I don't know if he's related to the Joseph Akbeko, the bantamweight, super bantamweight of many years past. But there's a lot of conjecture online, Abel, that many feel that Morrell really is the best guy at the super middleweight division. Do you see him as that, Abel? Do you think he's the best at 168?
I haven't really watched Morrell. Why I haven't watched him? Because I don't think he deserves the attention yet. He may have had a great amateur career. He may have had a lot of fights as an amateur, but I don't think he deserves the attention yet, in my opinion. Who the hell am I? But in my opinion, I don't think he deserves attention. He's talking a lot and talking about calling David out. I think that all these guys that we're talking about did their work coming up, did their work to get to that point. You can't just, it's like when they brought Lomachenko and he got beat by Salido. You just can't just bring these guys all of a sudden because they're talking a lot of crap or they have a good management team, a good promotional team. I think that he has to deserve it. And for me to watch him or comment on him, I'd have to pay attention to what he's doing and who he's fought and how he's done. And
Well,
I don't think
he's blasted everyone that he's fought.
yeah, but who has he fought?
True.
Has he fought a Caleb Plant?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Okay, so he hasn't. Yeah, he fought everybody that was in line over at Home Depot, and waiting for a job. He has to merit, I think, the attention that all these other guys have earned, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why they're pushing guys like him quick, the main reason why they push someone like Lomachenko quick, even like an Andy Cruz, is because they have such accomplished amateur careers that they feel like they don't really need to develop them like in the pros as a regular pro coming in, like because they have that vast amateur experience.
That's not true. They
That's
still
not true.
have to develop. That's not true. They still have to develop. The pros and the
But
amateurs
not,
are two
I guess
totally.
not as long as some,
No, but you still have to. Uh, you still have to develop the skills to go 12 rounds. You have to develop the skills to be able to go the first minute of the first round, the second minute of the first round, the third minute of the first round, and the same in the sixth and the seventh and the 10th and the 12th. You have to know um, how to how to fight every round and every minute of every round as a pro, not as an amateur. It's not about throwing punches. It's about setting up things for the latter part of the fight, which some of these guys that we're talking about have perfected. Haney looked great. David looked great. Shakur looked terrible, but he had an off night. They just say Davis every fight. Teo has that experience and has that ability to do that. That he has baggage coming behind him. Well, that's a lot of us do. Nui, same thing. It's things that you have to, I think that you have to develop in your own game. And to be able to do that, it takes time and it takes rounds inside the ring.
Canelo Alvarez did an interview over the weekend that we were able to get to and translate, and pretty much reporter over there asked him, "Hey, you know, what do you make of the WBC saying no, excuse me, what do you think of David Benavidez saying, hey, if you don't fight me next, the WBC should strip you?" Canelo just said, "Look, I'm the king right now. I do whatever the heck I want." But I was reading the comments, and a lot of the comment section, people in the comment section were like, "Yo, this is why we criticize you so much, because you say things like that. Instead of saying, yeah, I'll fight the guy, like I would be favored in the fight, you say things like, I'm going to do whatever I want, not what the fans want to see you do."
I would double what he said.
Double. You'd hedge your
exactly
bet.
what he said. And you know what? If he gives up all the belts, I'll bet you that they'll tune in just like they're tuning in now.
But but he was saying the same thing about Gennady, and
of course. But wait a minute.
But it pissed you guys off so much, though.
When you get to the top, you have a right. Again, it's the same thing that we're talking about. Some of these guys had great amateur careers. When you get to the top, it's your not experience, but it's your trajectory that got you to that point, that you've earned the right to say, you know what, you don't want to fight me? It's okay, I'll get another one. You don't think that whether it's David or anybody else is going to make the same kind of money, even if he has no belts? Of course he will. And you think the Ring magazine is not going to give him their belt and let him keep the belt? Of course they will. Or somebody else will make up the ABC belt or something like that, and he'll fight for that belt. He's the face of boxing right now. It doesn't matter who is saying whatever they're saying. He's got a right to dictate who he wants to fight, because he's going to get the same amount of money, whether it's you or I in the ring or David Benavidez.
I just want to ask him, like, it just seems to me like he doesn't feel that that's a big fight yet with David, you know?
It's
like
not.
That's how it comes off to me. I guess it comes off to you that same way.
It's not. David hasn't earned it. I said this way before.
Yeah.
David hasn't. David has to earn it. And by talking and by saying all these things, he's getting further away from it. You know, do another, instead of talking about Canelo, talk about Charlo. Talk about Charlo fighting in May, because we want to take the May date away from you, Canelo. Talk like that. You know, instead of bad-mouthing Canelo, who Canelo can really dictate, do the things that are going to get you closer to that fight. Do to Charlo what you did to Andre. Now I'm on David's side, because now he's proven to this fan anyway that he deserves a shot at Canelo. And I think that it goes a lot further than saying let them strip him of the belt, because the belt really doesn't matter. The belt didn't listen. They stripped David of the belt when he had those issues, and did that matter? No, he's still a rising star. It's your ability inside the ring. We're gonna watch because of the kind of performance and the kind of entertainment that you give us. That belt is a trinket. I know they're important, but that belt is not why we're watching. We're watching because of the entertainment that you give us.
It'd be interesting to see who he ends up picking, Canelo, because if it's not going to be, you hope no, Munguia has this fight with, that's interesting actually.
I hope it's Munguia.
Well, Munguia has this
fights Charlo.
Yeah, well, yeah, I feel Benavidez is a better fight for Canelo than a Munguia would be.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah,
but David hasn't earned it. So if David earns it by beating
wait, but Munguia has?
No, Munguia hasn't either. But somebody, he's got to fight somebody.
But well, why not? Like, that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna fight somebody, you might as well fight David. He's like the best amongst all those guys.
Have him earn it. Canelo right now has a chance to give Munguia a gift. He has a chance to give Ryder a gift. He has a chance to give a lot of guys a gift. When David is talking like he's talking, he doesn't deserve a gift. In Canelo's mind, he's giving these guys a gift, because I don't think he feels like they're on the same level as he is. I don't think that he thinks that they can beat him. But when you have a guy talking like David is talking, why am I going to give him anything? Why am I going to give him a payday? That's what these guys are looking for, is a payday. That's why the older Charlo never fought, or didn't fight as many fights as he should have. Right? He's waiting for Canelo. He's waiting for Golovkin. He was waiting for that big payday.
Oh, man, I would have wished we would have seen that Golovkin fight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just don't think that David has earned it.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Yeah. Well, it looks like timing, like it could end up working out in Munguia's favor, because he has this fight early January against Ryder. That leaves him what, February, March, April, May. That's 4 months till a potential fight with Canelo in May. That'll squash the thing that him saying I won't fight another Mexican. Now people will get off his back over that. But hey, Ryder gave Canelo, I don't want to say trouble. A lot of people say trouble. He didn't give Canelo trouble. Canelo beat the crap out of him, but he lasted in there with Canelo.
Well,
but we'll see what happens against
from a coach's standpoint.
Yeah,
that is the worst thing that could have happened for Canelo being in Guadalajara.
Well, but he made up for it. Look what he did with Charlo.
No, what I'm talking about is all these distractions, all these commitments, all this. You don't get a chance to concentrate on what you're doing. He's given his city and his state and his country back something. His people there, giving them back something. It cost him. It cost him a distraction, but he's made it back. But I think that I'm glad that Munguia is having this fight with Ryder, only because I want to see him have 1 or 2 fights prior to a big fight. I want to see him have 1 or 2 fights with Freddie in his corner, and Freddie in his mind, and Freddie in the gym. He's going to be a better fighter because of that. So if that happens and it's a second fight, that's okay with me. I just didn't want to see it to be all of a sudden they want to push him in there and be the first fight. But if he has a training camp or 2 training camps with Freddie, I think it'll be a much better fight. I don't think he beats Canelo.
Yeah,
but it's a much better fight.
I don't think there would be a lot of fight fans that would not disagree with you in terms of that. I don't know if we get the 2 fights under Freddie Abel before Canelo.
I'm asking that for Christmas.
Because hey, look, if he looks great against Ryder, they're going to push for that Canelo fight, which you would imagine. I'm pretty sure Canelo and Eddie would probably say, hey, we don't want to deal with Oscar. We'll deal with Eric. We'll deal with Beltran. We don't want Oscar to be a part of this promotion, just giving, the bad blood between them. I still find it kind of like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of beef still there with Canelo and Oscar. I don't know if that fight gets made.
So you're thinking that if he beats Ryder convincingly in January, that may happen in May?
I don't know. If you were to I know, but if you were to present to me, hey, look, here's Canelo Munguia, here's Canelo Benavidez, like I'd be like, no, go with Benavidez. That's more pay-per-view buys, that generates more business, and the fans want to see that fight.
Yeah, but September is a better date for that fight.
For that fight, yeah. Then in May, I don't know. Yeah, then in May, maybe we'll see. I don't know, Charlo. Like, he has 3 fights with PBC. One of them's already been done. He has 2 more left. So you got to be thinking. Eddie's thinking, what are the biggest fights I can make with Canelo that generate the most money and the most buys? And to me, it's always been there's 2, Crawford and David.
No, Crawford never going to happen. Munguia in May does very well, and Benavidez in September does extremely well.
Yeah, the dream scenario then, I guess, for that outcome would be, Munguia looks spectacular against Ryder.
Yeah.
David goes and he fights, like you mentioned, Charlo. Things go well. I would imagine Canelo's the favorite against Munguia. He goes into that Benavidez fight where, a lot of people would still favor Canelo to win.
Yeah, that's a build-up second to none. Them fighting in May like that and them both looking great. I think September is a barn burner. I think September could set some records.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. I would still prefer him go right into the Benavidez fight. But yeah, if you're looking at a maximizing ROI, maximizing.
Let me pose a scenario for you.
Yeah.
You told me that he has how many fights with PBC?
He has 2 more left.
Okay. Is there a bigger name than David right now that he could fight?
David Benavidez, Canelo. Is there a bigger name than David? Yeah, Terrence.
Terrence is never going to happen. I'm talking about a real fight.
You don't think it's a real fight?
That's never going to happen. Canelo would never do that.
He mentioned it. They asked him. He said if it makes sense, he'll do it.
It would never do it.
No,
I'm talking about a real fight. I'm talking about a real opponent at his weight. Is there another fight?
At 168, his weight, Charlo.
Yeah, Charlo hasn't earned it even less than Benavidez.
So outside of those 2 guys, there's not really anybody.
He's got 3 fights left in the PBC. Look at it from a coach's standpoint, from a manager's standpoint. If he's got 3 fights at PBC, you would think that the last one would be the one that
biggest,
makes the most money. The biggest.
The biggest.
So he's got a tune-up fight. Let's just say a tune-up fight in May, and the Benavidez fight in September. Hoping Benavidez does what he's supposed to do in May also.
Yeah.
At least that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like the next moves because Charlo did mention that he wants to fight Caleb Plant coming up as well. So yeah, I don't know
For
timing
Charlo,
wise.
for Charlo, for Charlo's inactivity and for Charlo's age and for Charlo's career, I think the best fight for him is cash it in with David, beat David, and then Canelo's the next fight. I mean, really, he hasn't had the kind of career that as a manager or coach you would want him to have. He hasn't been active enough. He hasn't shown us enough. So how old is he? 35, 36?
I know he's mid-30s.
Okay, so his the twins, right? Him and his
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
So how?
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay, mid-30s. So you got
Early
another year.
mid-30s.
Okay,
Let's check. Let's go on the just to to be accurate, I guess. But I would imagine that yes, he
I
is
would
in his 30s.
as a
33
manager.
years old. 33.
Okay, as a manager, as a coach, you're talking about a guy that's inactive. Just like Demetrius Andre, his future wasn't like Davis. Let's just say, he's not a young man, and neither is Charlo's. Charlo's future is not painted with a bunch of great fights where he's gonna make a lot of money. So I'm not talking about cashing out. Beat David, and then imagine you beat David. Now I'm gonna take revenge on the guy that just beat my brother. Wow.
Well, yeah, there's a storyline built in there.
Yeah,
That's for sure. But I'm just kind
and
of
there's
seeing
really
like
and there's
whoever
really no
moves where is gonna like I
really
don't know.
there's no other storyline with there's no storyline with Crawford like
Hmm.
that. There's no storyline at all with Crawford. There's no
The best
storyline with
against the
anybody else.
best. It's another pound for pound versus pound for
Yeah,
pound.
might as well have Inui fight Canelo. That's what you're
Well,
saying. That's what they're saying. You're talking about a 140 pounder, a little guy
oh well,
who
he's 147.
140 is where he started at.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
and he's a little
35, I
guy,
think. Didn't
a
did he start at
mature
35?
140 pounder.
Yeah.
Now he's going to move up three
But
divisions.
Canelo started at what, 47 or
He
40?
was 15 years old. He was 15 years old. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
You know, now the Terrence can do what Duran did to Hagler. Who knows? Who knows? Now let Canelo beat Benavidez, let Canelo beat Munguia, let Canelo beat Benavidez, and then they sign this mega fight for PBC where Canelo does his swan song and fights Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford along the way fights another guy at 54.
Yeah, it'd probably be
Fights
Jermell
fights
Charlo. Yeah.
Jamel, beats
Yep.
Jamel Charlo. Okay, now we have credibility, I think.
Mhm.
And Canelo could sign that fourth fight with PBC and Crawford, they make $1 trillion or $1 billion, whatever it is that they can make, and good for them.
Yeah, that would that for sure would be something. I'm just kind of like trying to look at the pieces. Like if like Jermell goes with the Caleb Plant fight because there's a storyline there given, the whole slap video. And
Yeah,
then,
but who really heard about that though? What other than a regular boxing fan, who really heard about that? Nobody.
now that there's a lot of bad blood there. I think
Yeah,
they'd
but
be able to sell that fight, like hype it up. It's not going to do like half
you
a
know about
million,
that.
a million
You know,
buys.
yeah, you know about that, and
Yeah.
I know about that because you told me about it. But
Uh,
nobody really knows about
but
that
I'm
bad
saying
blood.
if they go that route and then
Yeah.
say Munguia does dispatch Ryder and he goes into the Canelo fight, it kind of leaves David in the situation that he's kind of been where like, dude, who's
So
left?
David's got to push. So David has to push. David's people have to push for the fight in May to fight somebody that's going to warrant him and do the same thing to that person that's going to warrant him. See, this is where planning and listen, when we took on Rubio and Tom was able to get us to be WBC mandatory and Canelo gave up the belt, didn't want to fight us. That's how management, that's how promoters position your fighters. That was Tom Lawford doing a brilliant job of positioning us to get the WBC belt. Benavidez people need to position him in a way that,
Well, he's already interim. I think they already have.
okay, I'm talking about a fight that's going to warrant him the fight.
Yeah.
In other words, don't eliminate the guys that are possibles for Canelo. Eliminate Charlo, who may be a possible for Canelo.
No, I'm just saying,
Eliminate
like, if they do those things, like, there's no one there. Like, the only options he really has is to move up to 175 and fight the winner of like Bivol Beterbiev. But I don't know if David. But I don't know if Canelo would meet David.
I would rather see David move up and do that fight than Canelo move up and do that fight, the winner of that fight. I
Yeah.
don't know why I see David as a being able to handle those guys easier than Canelo does.
Hmm.
In other words, having being a better fight. David
Yeah.
just has the size and has the speed
And the speed, the speed, definitely. Yeah.
I see David doing better with those guys than I see Canelo doing.
Unless
75.
like, and I'm just throwing this out there, and I don't even know if looks like he's retired, unless, they reach out to Gennady and build on that name, like, hey, look,
They could use him, and you talk about who using him.
David and
Yeah,
Gennady.
no, David, yes. Another Canelo fight would not.
No.
Would not work.
I'm talking about David. Like, if he
David-
doesn't have any opponents, if it's between like a Bivol, Beterbiev, and that's maybe difficult because they're on different platforms. And then you have like Gennady, who's a free agent. Like, he hasn't officially said he's retired. I could see him be like, well, Triple G has a name. If we beat him in a better way that Canelo did in that third fight, like, that'll keep building up our profile.
It's a fight I wouldn't want to see for a lot of different reasons, but it's a difficult fight for both guys because Gennady has got a chin of granite, and you're not going to hurt him, and he's going to hit David. It's like I said about Matias. He's going to hit you, and he's going to take fights away from you. He's going to take his career shortening kind of fights because Gennady's not going to get beat down. He's gonna throw punches and he's gonna hit you, and I just don't want to see. I wouldn't want to see that fight for a lot of different reasons, like I said. But you're right; it is a fight that could be possible. Can they lure him out of retirement? He doesn't.
I don't know. He hasn't announced that he's retired, but he hasn't fought.
Retired.
He's retired.
41.
You would know. I guess you would know more than me.
80,
but
82. I think 82 is his birthday, April 8th. So
yeah, that's 41.
41.
Yeah.
41. He almost 42. So by the time that fight happened, he'd be 42 years old.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to see that fight. I wouldn't want to see Gennady and give these young lions or a young lion like that an opportunity to use him. But then, money's sometimes money's the root of all evil, man.
It is the as Deontay Wilder calls it, the green-eyed monster.
Yeah.
That's money makes you do a lot of stupid
he'd
things.
Be 42 years old.
Yeah.
And hasn't fought in how long? Since Canelo.
Since Canelo.
It hasn't been in the gym since Canelo. Hasn't, and if you saw some pictures of him doing some advertising for his products, he doesn't look like he's at 168 pounds. He looks like he's a little heavy. So you're talking about a lot of things that,
unless he's wearing like really baggy clothing.
Yeah, but you're talking about things that as you get older are more difficult to shed. So I wouldn't want to see that fight. But
yeah, I wonder why he hasn't straight out just said like he's retired.
I'm disappointed in how he gave up his belts. I'm disappointed. He's such a great fighter, was a great fighter, gave us a lot of great fights. I would have liked to have seen a big press conference, him giving up the belts for the younger guys. But Tom Loeffler would have done that, but nobody else seemed to be smart enough to give him that credit that he richly deserves. I mean, come on.
But I guess if he were to have held a press conference like that, that's pretty much him saying like, I'm retiring.
No, you say, I'm going to hold the press conference. This is Tom and I talked about this after, but you say, I'm giving up my belts. I want the younger guys to go ahead and fight for these belts. And if the right fight comes along, I don't think a belt is needed. I think that our names, our careers are good enough to warrant that kind of big fight. Let's just say if it was a David fight, what kind of belt would they need? It would be a great fight, or somebody big like that.
Yeah, very, very true. Hey, Abel, man, as always, great catching up with you. I'll go ahead and check in with you next week as we go ahead and preview the heavyweight card. But as always, man, appreciate the time. Abel Sanchez, my man, I'm Marcos Villegas. Thank you guys for watching us over here on Fight Up TV.